If you're looking for a new AI art platform or somewhere to start learning AI art, then I've found the perfect platform for you to get started. It's called PicLumen and it's 100% free. At the time of recording, you go to this website and you can sign up for free and start generating images. But it also has a pretty easy to use interface. Nice and simple, but with advanced options if you want to go looking for them. Now, if you want to check it out, PicLumen are sponsoring this video and there's a link in the description. But otherwise, I'm going to go onto the platform, show you how it works, the images that you can create with it. So if you want to get started for free, you can try it out today. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You go to the website here and you can either go up the top here to launch app or hit generate for free, sign up, and then you can access the AI image generator. And then once you've logged in, you will land right in the image generator. You can also go to explore over here if you want to see some of the images that have been created in the past from other users. But let's get straight to it. Go to create on the left and let's go up top here. These are the basic settings for generating AI art. You've got different models here such as PicLumen, Pony Diffusion, Flux Schnell. So Flux is sort of like a bit of a hot topic at the moment, so we'll go with that. I've chosen my model and I'm going to explore the others in a minute. I can also go over here to aspect ratio, choose any shape of image, and it gives you a guide as to what shape the image will be. Since we're working with a YouTube video, we'll go 16:9 so we can display them on screen pretty effectively. I can choose how many images I want to create. So I'm going to go with 2, and I type in a prompt to describe what I'm after. So I have a cyberpunk detective walking, Tokyo streets, movie screen cap, something pretty simple. And I would like to mention that you may notice also down here, if I hover over English, there's a bunch of different languages we can choose. So if you're not an English native speaker, you can choose one of these for the platform. And there's an auto translate function. But I'm going to just go straight over here to generate and see what results we can get. And we've been able to generate these 2 images. So that's pretty cool. But maybe I want a little bit more pizzazz. My prompt is pretty plain. So next to the translate button here, there is also prompt enhance. So if I click that, you see it's added a bunch of information to my prompt to really bring it to life. So now I click generate again, and now we've been able to create something a little more dynamic. If you compare the originals to these new ones, prompt enhance has really done a great job of creating a vastly more interesting image. Now coming back, I've zoomed out in order to fit everything in. If I want to see what these images look like with different models, I have my drop down here. At the moment we're using Flux Schnell. What if I want to try one of these other models here? Let's go through and see what results we can get with Pony Diffusion, line art, anime, and realistic. So you can see here how we've gone from Flux Schnell with these 2 images to Pony Diffusion, which has a very soft cartoony feel to it, to PicLumen line art volume 1, which is great for, say, coloring books, that kind of thing, but also PicLumen anime version 2. You can see that's a very cool anime effect on those images, and then PicLumen realistic, which has a really gritty cinematic feel to it and looks pretty good. The way that it's framed everything, I think it's done a pretty good job. But of course, there is more we can do with these images by simply clicking on them to bring up the image. We can also click, view the image full screen, but we get information over here like the prompt, which I can click here to copy. I can also copy the negative prompt. I'm going to show you how to set that soon. But there's all these different settings here, including remix, Inpaint, Colorize, but I can also upscale. So if I want to create an even larger image, I can click an upscale of 2x. And now my upscale is here, and I've been able to increase the resolution to 2688 by 1536. And it has a little icon here saying it is an upscale. Now, of course, like any of these images, if I want to download them, if I hover over the top, there's a little icon here for download. I click on that, save my image to a folder, and click save. That's just the basics of how to generate an image, upscale it, and download it. But what if we want to get a little more advanced? Well, coming back to our interface here, on the right, you'll notice a little icon with some sliders. So I've got PicLumen realistic, and we've got our same prompt from before. If I come over here to our sliders, I get some more advanced settings here I can play with if I really want to dive into that. So if there's a negative prompt, when I hit the enhance prompt over here, it added these words in there. These are things to sort of exclude from your image. So if I was getting an image like this and it had dogs in it, I could put in dogs and it would do its best not to add dogs to the image. Now the guidance scale, the more I bring that up, the more my prompt influences the image. The steps is how many sort of steps of rendering it does to the image. Increasing it beyond 25, theoretically it sounds like it would increase the quality, but it doesn't necessarily. So 25 is pretty much a good place to sit at. So that is where you can find those settings. But there's also a few other settings here, such as this image button here. If I click on this, I can upload an image to use as an image prompt. So I can click choose a file or drop it here. I'm going to take this image here of a cyberpunk woman I downloaded from pexels.com, drag it across, click on it, and it's added it to my prompt. Now this is where it gets interesting. Also, I can use it as a content reference to sort of reference the content of the image, or a style reference to try and get the style and look, or even a character reference to try and reference her face and general outfit. So that's how you can use those settings. For now, we're just going to go style reference. I'm going to bring the strength up a little bit, just to about 0.6. Hit generate, and there you see the image is generated compared to before, which had a very sort of blue and pink aesthetic. Now has a bit more red and yellow into it, similar to the image supplied. So that's a great way to use a style reference or anything to sort of influence your images. So you can see just how simple PicLumen is to use, and the fact that it's free and you get images like the ones on screen here is pretty impressive. There's a lot of different styles of image you can achieve depending on which model you pick, but overall you get some high quality images, and it's a nice simple platform to use and a great place, especially if you're a beginner looking to learn the ropes of AI art. But what about some of the more advanced features? If I scroll down to say the image of this puppy and I want to cut it out from the background, I can come over here to remove BG, click that button, and up the top it will process that image and it has cut out the background. I get a transparent PNG that I can use for my images or even in videos in any way that I see fit. Another cool feature is to come down to one of these black and white images and come down to Colorize. I can automatically color this image by typing in a prompt. I have here a wizard in a purple robe in a cave with a fire in the background, casting glowing green magic. I submit that, and you can see the black and white image is now being colored to match my prompt. And that's a pretty nifty effect. But coming back, there's also another way we can use some of these features, and that is to come up here to this little arrow where I can upload an image. I'll choose this Batman image I drew a few years ago. You can see it's just black and white line work. I click on it, go to Colorize, and type in, I have Batman wearing black and dark grey, standing in the city at night, submit, and you can see it's essentially rendered that image in the exact same pose that I drew, with a few minor differences. Still, that's pretty cool when you can upload your own images to use these tools. Now again, we have a different image, and of course we have the Inpaint function here. If I click on Inpaint, I can essentially change my brush size down here, draw an area I want to regenerate, and if I go over, I can grab my eraser to touch that back up and then add a prompt to replace what I want to see there. So I type something like sunglasses with a bright fluoro green frame. I submit. Again, it goes to the top, and you can see the dog's sunglasses now have a bright fluoro green frame around them. So it's pretty crazy what you can do with this platform. But also, if you're looking for minor variations, so again, we've got this anime image here. I can also hit remix, which places the prompt in the prompt bar, adds all the same settings, and I can make little changes to my prompt to get something different. So instead of a mech warrior fighting a drag, I can say fighting a wizard, pilot in the mech, hit generate, and I've been able to generate some different images by adding those settings all back in. But I come back in here, if I really like this one, I can use very subtle or very strong. So I'm going to go with both. And we've gone from our original image to a very subtle to create this slight variation. However, the very strong has gone a little bit further with it, adding some different colors and a little bit more to make it a little bit different, but it's still based off that original image. But coming back to this image right here, it's actually cut off the top of her head and the shoulders, not too bad, but I actually want to add and see the top of her head. So if I come right down here to expand, I can click the up arrow. It is now added to the top of that image, so I'm able to sort of add information in any direction. So again, if I click here, you'll notice we can expand up, right, down, or to the left. Or if I click this button on the end here, it can zoom out completely. So I click on that and it's zoomed out further. And keep in mind that this is entirely free. There's no premium plan. I'm just using a free account to generate all these images. However, there is a quota. If I come down the left here, hover over my name and go to usage dashboard, you can see I've created 44 images. I've had 49 total. I actually had some I generated before the start of the video that I removed, but I've used 21 of my 30 minutes. So with all the images I've created, I've still got a good chunk left to play with. And what I can do is head up to explore, and I can explore the images other people have created here, such as this one. If I would like to create this image for myself, again, I can copy the prompt or even go straight to remix, hit generate, and I'm able to generate a pretty similar result. Now, this platform is a great free alternative to other paid platforms such as Midjourney. So how does it compare to a platform like Midjourney? Well, let's take this prompt and see what we get. So we have PicLumen on the left and Midjourney on the right, and with this particular image, they actually turned out very similar. However, the PicLumen image is a little cleaner. Midjourney's has added sort of a lot more detail, but it really comes down to your own personal sort of choices when it comes to this image. And this image in PicLumen was done with PicLumen Realistic V2. Midjourney's was done with version 6.1. But moving on to this one, on the left we have PicLumen Realistic V2. You can see the prompt down the bottom, Midjourney on the right, version 6.1. And we get two very different results. Again, it's a choice. It's a personal choice, I believe. The one on the left, again, seems to be cleaner, sort of smoother images coming from PicLumen and sort of grungier, more detailed images coming from Midjourney. And again, personal preference. This time, trying to go for a simple face. I got PicLumen Realistic V2 again versus Midjourney. Midjourney didn't actually render it as a photo, although usually when you put a portrait it does, but in this image in particular, definitely the PicLumen one looks more like the photo we were after. That's the beauty of having these different models, like the realistic, is you know what to expect, whereas Midjourney, you kind of have to really make sure you prompt for the style that you're after. But moving on to an Unreal Engine 3D render style, we have PicLumen Realistic on the left, Midjourney on the right. Surprising how similar the two guys are in this particular image. And once again, it seems to be just a cleaner, smoother image on the left, whereas Midjourney tends to try and add a lot more detail, but has a bit more noise in there. Again, personal preference, but both are really good images. And we have the dog with the sunglasses at the beach, again, using Realistic V2. Both images are pretty good. Both images are pretty sound. Apart from the breed of the dog, they're actually pretty similar when it comes to quality and the overall aesthetic. This time we have PicLumen Flux on the left with Midjourney version 6.1 on the right. And once again, this is a Polaroid image. We do get, again, a cleaner, neater image on the left compared to Midjourney, where it kind of tries to cram a lot of detail in there. However, this does look more like a Polaroid on the right. But once again, if you're looking for very clean photography and style images, this is a really great platform for that. Now, PicLumen Anime versus Niji version 6 on Midjourney. And again, a cleaner image. It's just a lot more, it's sort of easier to understand what's going on the PicLumen image here. Both are great, and overall, the difference between the two platforms really comes down to personal preference. But I would say PicLumen tends to produce cleaner, smoother images, whereas Midjourney tends to really try to cram as much detail as possible, and that can be a bad thing. Also, it can be a good thing. So you pretty much need to choose for yourself. But the difference is PicLumen is free. And the fact that you can get started for free means that you can really experiment with AI art and its uses. For example, AI art is a lot of fun to play with, but it's also great for speeding up any art or design process. It's also handy for creating images for social media, or illustrations for storytelling, or even just to use as inspiration for art, design, or photography. And creating unique art is something that you can sell or share online, and AI can help with that, but you can also use these elements in video, or even use a video platform to animate those images. However, anything visual, if you use your imagination or thought behind it, you can add these elements in, and it can be incredibly useful, like I said, for fun or even for a professional purpose to make money. Everything I've done today has been on my computer using a browser, but if I come down here to Get App, you'll notice there is an iOS app for Apple devices with an Android app in the works. So if you want to use your phone, you can install the app and essentially use this on your phone. And again, get started pretty easily. So that's another powerful thing. A lot of these AI art platforms don't have apps yet. So definitely if you're someone who wants to use their phone, this is a great option for you to get started with that. So now you've seen what PicLumen can do. The fact that we can sign up and get started at any time and try this out, learn our way around AI art is incredibly powerful. So if you want to check out PicLumen, there's a link in the description. And again, they are sponsoring this video. I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. Definitely a great platform for anyone to start with. So check that out. And otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like. Hope you found it useful, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.